We got ourselves Team 1 to go with Embargo joining us as a group in. How you doing, my guy? We got ourselves Cracker on the team, Tasty. We got ourselves Advo. First up is a Warlock with Guangzhou in the back. You got two out of rogues that absolute blasters. Denelope gonna be first up, getting stunned out in the open. Trinket coming out really early as we see a port out of Advo. Trying to see if he can back away from the Paladin. Shield events up for Denelope, and it looks like Advo just gonna let this pet strip away. That shield actually just gonna separate away from Denelope completely. Just gonna wait until defenses are done. That is a Trinket out of Denelope. Could be seeing a bubble very, very shortly, depending on how aggressively Advo goes in. And it looks like Advo set up a Decimator Bolt ahead of time. Dude, if Denelope walks up on Advo really early, those could be some really harsh Decimating Bolts. Bolt up, second bolt up. Advo just trying to burn this out as fast as possible. Going to be a full pass with a stun on Denelope. Could be a giant situation with a Tyrant joining in. Denelope could be a big troll. Mortical, one of the bubbles. There goes the bubble. Do they go aggressive? Looks like they decide to go an all-in strat. Final wreck versus Advo. Is it going to be enough though? Advo with a port still holding on to the flash card. Denelope not looking for that defensive recovery. It looks like they just want to commit only damage and just damage versus Advo. Sajiro joining into it too. Sajiro just trying to see if he can blast right through Advo as it did just burn a port. I think Advo might be limited on mobility. Those pets though are continuing that momentum of damage versus Sajiro though, dropping down their obelisk. Quick stun and a fear as Advo sees the pets finally start to dissipate, getting sent back into the twisting nether, losing out on the army. They're just trying to see if they can get some kind of CC versus Sajiro to separate it away from the guy. Sajiro leaping back out there. Advo trying to desperately avoid him. Sajiro is going to get random reckless as procs. Quick reflect up in case there's a Mortical versus Advo. Is going to save the Mortical for a little bit later. Pummel getting missed out by Sajiro. Jumping under the platform just to make sure they have some land aside versus Advo. Getting interrupted on that flash count. That's going to be Demon Doggers joining in. Advo has a lot of range. Sajiro trying to see if he can close that gap. Trying to maintain his self-healing as best possible. That's going to be Abba's joining him, trying to follow, unless Sajiro has a way to stop all these pets. Stun right on top of Sajiro, does have a fear for all the pets. Pets are running in all the directions. Advo is still under pressure. Another fell guard comes out. Looks like the pet's fear is finally gone. Potentially could maybe capitalize on all the damage. Charge still getting lots of blasts versus Sajiro. Sajiro catching up all the healing versus these pets with an enraged generation. Reducing a lot of the damage taken by at least 20%. With Bloodthirst giving him even more self-healing. It looks like Flash Captor around the corner. Sajiro does get interrupted as Advo does sneak around, trying to make sure he has a good line of sight of the pillar of the boxes. Stunner Sajiro, Mortical right after. Got himself the banner. He just put it out there to cool down. Zerk Rage for the sphere, leaping away towards Advo. Does Advo have a way to separate this? Advo needs mobility to get away from the warrior, unless it might be done for. It looks like it's going to be a quick execute by Sajiro. Find himself the rage he needs in order to keep the pressure going. And it's going to be charging out towards Tasty immediately as Tasty rolls out an Earth Elemental. Quick stun to kind of pummel Sajiro with a big rocky fist. Just hitting him right in the noggin, knocking him back for a second. Sajiro using that Earth Elemental pet in order to get himself a little bit more self-healing. Wall out for Tasty really early with our Earth Elemental. He's going to swap to a Fire Alley pretty early on. Sajiro looking for the line to side. He's just looking for cover. That's going to be Zabs back-to-back Lava Burst to follow. Does catch up a massive heal with Impending Victory versus the Fire Alley, but it's going to be the Zabs that are just going to break it apart and break up that healing pretty quickly. Just putting it back into that uncomfortable spot, just a bit of low health spot. Sajiro does go for a fear versus Tasty, has himself in Rage Regen, does catch up on one more Bloodthirst as it's amplified by Enrage. It's going to be a quick reflect, not really sure what you can reflect versus Tasty. Maybe a Frost Shock or two. It's going to be a full flesh craft up by the Shaman. Sajiro backing up out of it for a second. Is going to use the Kevin Sub to give himself a little bit of healing. Lava Burst flying in with a lasso, locking him down for a second. Tasty does create advantage to give himself a little bit more space away from this warrior. Big Earthshock around the corner. Unless Sajiro has himself Impending Victory versus the Fire Alley, he might be in a tight spot. It looks like maybe Tasty might have dismissed the Fire Elemental to make sure Sajiro does not have someone to Bloodthirst off of behind the pillar. Next Lightning Lasso. Could be extremely dangerous for Sajiro. Does get himself a little bit of healing. Lava Burst is trying to bring his health back down to 0. And Tasty, seeing Sajiro try to go for a bit of flesh cap, had himself reflect. It looks like Tasty reflected something back to himself, then landing an interrupt onto Sajiro. Lightning Lasso, putting the warrior in a tight spot. Does get himself a charge banner coming up, but the Earthshock is going to collapse him. Oh my goodness, Evertree with a full sepsis burst versus Tasty. Walling this damage off. Cloak of Shadows is up. Tasty could be in a tight spot. There's going to be Shadow Blaze joining in for Evertree. As he has Cloak of Shadows, Vendetta, I think, used maybe a little bit late. Did he use Vendetta away from sepsis? Did he just go in for sepsis in the opener after like a cheap shot opener? Is that what happened? Tasty looks like he might have been able to survive the Rogue's Go. Does he have himself an interrupt? He does not. Going to be a quick hacks onto a retreat. Does have a trigger for it. Try to keep the pressure rolling versus Tasty. Tasty going in for one pressure class, the Fury Warrior, into the next, the Assassination Rogue. Energy just using whatever defense he's got, like evasion, just to see if he can mitigate any kind of damage from Tasty. You never know, maybe the Fire Elder, maybe Tasty will end up going for an auto attack here and there. And RJ should be able to maybe, hopefully, get an escape. Looks like he won't be able to get a clean one. Big lava burst flying in. That's going to be Smoke Bomb. Trying to see if it creates some line of sight. Tasty get a hit from a pretty far blind. That's going to be Fire Elemental. Keeping the pressure onto RJ will not let this rogue catch himself an easy reset. Unless this rogue can line aside the pet, make sure he doesn't get hit by the cast, he might be able to actually get himself into stealth. Does drop combat for a second. Gonna be a knockback by Tasty. Mark for Death, where to go, but the rogue has himself sepsis rolling versus Tasty, but it's gonna be a light Lassa before the Mark for Death getting shot can connect, and Tasty does end up taking him out. He does still have sepsis sticking on him. Could be bad for him in the long term, as it's quite a good portion of damage rolling in anyway. Psycho getting hit with a lasso for a second. Not enough to really put him in a dangerous situation. And it's still able to continue the pressure versus Tasty. Tasty and Psycho exchanging blows. Wall up for Psycho. Massive flash cap. Tasty does burn a wall of his own. That's going to be Hex on the Psycho. Does not burn the chicken for this one. Tasty needs to give himself a little bit of recovery whenever possible. Does still have the Earth Elemental. Using the Earth Elemental stun just to chain a little bit more CC versus Psycho. Fire Elemental joining in. That's going to be big zaps for Psycho. Like the last trick inside of it. Knocking back for Psycho for a second. Does Tasty maybe get himself Stormkeeper? Does go for a full Stormkeeper. Is it going to be enough though? Lava Burst is going to be big zaps to follow Trinket on Tasty. Psycho with no health whatsoever. Neither is Tasty. Both of the two shamans are just going at it versus one another. Tasty finds himself super low in health. Almost getting the Hex out versus Psycho. I think it might be over. I think Psycho turning around. Unless Tasty can get this Hex right now. It looks like he does not. Psycho does end up winning that encounter. Damn, boy. What's going on? What is that? Damn. What is that survivability at 47% dampener? And it looks like Embargo giving Psycho an opportunity to get himself a full full recovery, full honor duel, or as close to an honor duel as you can really get it. As the Outlaw Rogue opens up, get himself the spike rolling in. I wonder if Embargo is playing the big pistol build, or if Embargo is playing the Vanish build that a lot of rogues have been using recently. Stun onto Psycho. Is it going to be enough damage? I'm looking for a big pistol. Looks like he's playing the big pistol build. Got himself a big pop in there. And is going to go and take this pressure into Naze immediately. Not really letting Naze get himself a setup. I guess Naze does have a portal. He does have a gateway, so I guess he gets as much of a setup as possible. But normally Naze would have that extra range versus Embargo, making sure you got all the dots ready to go. It's going to go for Raptures. Trying to see if he can set up a bunch of Rapture damage versus Embargo. I think Naze is still playing that Necrolord build for Affliction Warlock, which can do a lot of damage. It just takes a really long setup in order to be able to effectively do so. Or Embargo is going to get fully dotted up. Naze ramping up those dots in order to get himself more resources. Trying to see if he can maybe get a fear versus Embargo. Embargo just kind of poking in and out. Just kind of waiting to find himself a good opportunity. Quick gouge versus Naze. Dark backed up as he gets hit with a killer shot. Does Embargo have enough damage here though? Looks like he doesn't. Just needs to wait out until the Dark Pact is done for Naze, and maybe then he might be able to break into the health bar. Naze is trying to see if he can get us some angle. 60% dampening. Naze is kind of limited on the healing he can really do here. Eventually Embargo, I think, is going to be able to bleed out Naze with those spikes. Trying to see if he can go for a stun. Does connect. Quick fear into Embargo. Looks like it doesn't last long at all. Cheap chuck. Was that a vanish? I think Embargo vanished the last second. Looks like he's going to go for a quick kill versus Naze. His body's on the ground. His armor awakens, but it's over. Embargo with 2 kills. I didn't even realize it was Tasty with 2. Team Psycho shutting him down for a second. And then I guess Embargo cleaning up the boys. Let's go, dude. Alright, boys, let's get another open running. I think we gotta get Sean. I think we gotta get Garain back in here again. Cracker, I know Cracker is ready.